I'd like to start with a story about a fisherman named Drew. Drew loved to fish for snapper, redfish, and sea trout in the Indian River Lagoon for the last 40 years. But in recent years, he started to notice his catch dwindle. He tried changing his bait and his gear, but with no improvement. Around the same time, he started to notice changes to the habitat in his favorite fishing spot. It went from once flourishing live oyster reefs like you see on the right, to piles of dead oyster shells like you see in the left-hand image. Stories like this are not uncommon among fishermen in the Indian River Lagoon, which is concerning because Florida is known as the sport fishing capital of the world. Sport fish are these predatory fish that are targeted by anglers, so they serve an important economic and ecological role. In the Indian River Lagoon, where this story and my research takes place, it has an extensive estuary along 40% of Florida's eastern coastline. And it's received a lot of attention in recent years due to declining habitat quality. So what can we do to improve this habitat and these sport fish populations over time? One potential solution is habitat restoration. Since habitat loss is the leading cause of species extinctions worldwide, restoration can return the habitat to its natural state and potentially conserve species. We know that habitat restoration can benefit many species, but we don't really know much about how that carries up the food chain to predators such as sport fish. We do know that predators are a good indicator of ecosystem health, but we can use this also as an indicator of restoration success. So I seek to understand how habitat restoration can impact food chains and these predators such as sport fish. So in this simplified food chain, you can see that restored oysters provide habitat for crustaceans and small fishes, which then serve as prey for the sport fish. In the Indian River Lagoon, with collaborative efforts for restoration, we convert these dead oyster reefs with oyster mats that are anchored down to the breaked down dead oyster shell, which are these plastic mesh mats with oyster shells attached to it, which serve to attract live oysters to the site over time and ultimately become that live oyster reef that we see. But I really want to know how these reefs can benefit these species, and I look at that through the diet of the different sport fish. What I see is fish like the snapper, the one that's on the hook with the fishermen, do have different dietary changes with the different habitat quality. Fish at dead reefs have more empty stomachs than fish at their live and restored reefs, and those restored and live reefs have more prey diversity in their stomachs. So ultimately, I could see that habitat restoration can impact the food web and benefit sport fishermen like Drew and future generations to land fish like snapper and redfish in the Indian River Lagoon. Thank you.